Hey, it's Greg here at MaritimeGardening.com, and it's time for another one of those garden tours brought to you by my sponsors, Vessi Seeds and Safer's Gardening Products. So it's middle of June, getting into later June, I guess, and we've had some decent heat, and to the extent that I've taken all the plastic domes and all that stuff pretty much out of my garden, I'm not too concerned. Sometimes we get frost in late June, but fingers crossed that just the way it feels and the way the forecast looks and all that sort of stuff, I think we're through all that aspect of the year and we're into the heat of the summer. Hope I'm right. Hope I find out the hard way that I'm wrong. But anyway, enough talking. Let's have a look at the garden. Let me show you what's growing. All right, here we are at the entrance of the garden, and got some potatoes planted here. You can just see them poking out a little bit. Got squash. Georgia Candy Rosa squash planted here under these cloches. I got two of them up here. The reason I have a rock here is I usually have three planted around the rock in a triangle. That way I know where I stuck the seeds. So I stuck a rock in the middle just so I know that the seeds are somewhere around the rock. When one comes up, I know there's another one. So I know the other one was right here because they were in a triangle when I planted them. That's the only reason I do that, just to keep track of things. Anyway, they're starting to come up. I got garlic here. Walk into the garden. The potatoes I planted about a month ago, give or take, are up. The leeks. Someone was asking me about leeks the other day. Leeks are getting up. These need to be thinned, and I need to mulch this soon. Over here, I got some lettuce that I moved from another location in the garden. I've used more than half of it, but it's still going. Some of it's starting to bolt a little bit, like this one, and then others are still okay. Because this is a shadier spot, right? This has more shade than this. Basically, you can tell the stage of bolt relative to the shade. That's why, as you're going into the summer, it's always good to, if you're planting lettuce, have it somewhere that's not super sunny. You see, like, you got just a wall and a forest over here, sort of thing, right? So it's not the best growing conditions here, but it's just great for lettuce and spinach like that in the summer. I've got the French sorrel here, bloody dock over here. Way too much bloody dock. I'm gonna rethink this for next year. I use it, but I don't use it. I don't need that much. I should be growing something else in that space. Potatoes here coming up through the mulch, doing fine. Over here I got more of that lettuce that I moved. That's doing great. It's very, again, shady, right against the forest. That's south in that direction, so it's a good spot for cool loving things. I planted some spinach there, and all that spinach is up. Not all of them germinated, but that's always the case. It's always good to overseed a bit. Got the kale, two different kinds of kale here. They're coming along great. These need to be thinned. You want kale, I don't know, 12, even 16 inches apart. They get quite big. So every time I come out to harvest kale, I'm taking whole plants right now and working towards having them all be spaced out. And I had spinach down the middle here, and the spinach is just about done. It's all about to bolt. Here's a nice big one here, right? So it made sense. The spinach grows so much faster than the kale. You grow the spinach down the middle, right? And then, you know, as you get into the heat of the summer, when the spinach just really won't work anyway, you just remove the spinach like I have over there and throw a mulch down. And then the kale takes over the whole space. So you just have 2 rows of kale in a 4-foot wide garden. That's, you know, that's about all you can plant in that space. You go any further than that, you're overcrowded and they don't do as well. Over here, this was supposed to be eggplant. I was supposed to direct seed the eggplant, but I got lazy and didn't bother. And having a heck of a time buying eggplant transplants this year, but I found a place just outside of town that has some. So over the next couple days, I'll be ripping out all this mustard greens, which I really enjoyed eating. But you can see the mustard greens are starting to go to seed, right? So I'll definitely save some of those seeds. Maybe do a video next year on planting them. Fast growing. I mean, look at the size of them, right? And I've been enjoying. I mean, this is just a wild weed, but they have a kale-like taste. They're the same family. And very green tasting. It's a word I use for things sometimes. When you're eating it, you feel like you're getting something healthy in your body. They're weird because they've got almost thistle-like texture. I don't know how well you can see that, but they're sort of spiny, which is probably what makes them so slug-proof. They really don't have a lot of damage, right? But that spiny texture, when you heat it and cook it, you wouldn't have this in a salad. When you cook it, it just sort of goes away. It just disintegrates with the heat. And you don't have to cook them long. I mean, you know, a couple of minutes tossed around with some olive oil and garlic, and yeah, you're loving it, right? So definitely worth a try. Anyway, that's all going to be eggplant in a couple days. Over here I've got carrots that I had to replant. Planted carrots here. I don't know what I did wrong. Probably I had plastic over them, so I probably let it get a bit too hot. But I can see they're starting. There's one right there. I made a shadow. Let me see. That's right there at the end of my finger. That's a carrot coming up. All right, so they're starting to come up. This could probably use a bit of water today. It's going to be a hot one. Beans over here. Maybe 1/3 of them got taken out by slugs. So I didn't put any slug bait down in this bed. So I had to replant some of them. You can see how some of them are large, and then you get others that are small, right? Because I just had to replant. But no big deal, right? Just keep replanting until the whole thing's filled in. I always have more bean seeds than I need. Garlic here doing great. You know, I got a little tomato planted in there with the garlic. It's doing all right. I don't know about this approach. Those lower branches seem to be shot. Definitely not these one. I planted this one here the same day I planted these over here. These definitely seem to be doing a little better. They're getting more sun. Anyway, potatoes over here coming through the mulch. This is a carrot garden. Like the other carrot garden, I had to replant everything. They're beginning to come up. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people will say my carrots aren't working. What am I doing wrong? I don't know. You know, there's lots of different things that can go wrong when you're trying to get carrots to germinate. Just replant them. Just get more seeds and replant them. What is it, $2-3 for a pack of seeds? Just replant. These beets, this variety is called Early Wonder, I think. Really happy with these. Look, they're foot high, right? Foot high in June. Now I started these under a plastic dome, and you know, first week of April sort of thing. But yeah, this variety, I think, I mean, I like to try different varieties, and you know, always interested to try new things. But this variety, Early Wonder, I think I will always plant this variety because it just works so well, right? And they come in fast and they come in big. And you don't have to harvest them early. You can leave them in the ground and harvest them in September, and they're even bigger, right? I've had some of these forages across. Here I've got cucumbers. You can see the cucumber there, right? They're just starting to come up. I'm going to have dill on this side and parsley on this side, and this will be trained up like 6 feet high in a trellis, like I always do with cucumbers. This is a parsnip garden. This whole side, which is Albion, a hybrid variety, most of them have come in. On this side, I planted my own saved seed, and none of them grew. So I must have got something wrong when I was saving those seeds. So there's some dill and stuff coming over. That's just wild. That's just wild. You know, basically dill grows just about everywhere in my garden. I always have lots of dill. Over here I got, I'm just playing with an experiment of interplanting parsnips in with spinach, because the spinach grows so quickly. You know, I was thinking of maybe something like having a parsnip and then 6 inches of spinach, then 6 inches and a parsnip, and then you take the spinach out end of June, and all the parsnips rows are you know, 12 inches apart, which is a good spacing. So it's something this is just an experiment. I haven't done it wholesale here, but and spinach looks good. I love spinach. Down here, a little look at the perennial. It's my grapes. That's the stage of development my grapes are at. The leaves still forming. There's really not much in terms of, you know, actual grape. You know, that's grapes right there. Pretty early stages here, just to give you a sense of where my season is. This whole row here is all potatoes. It was raspberries last year. I ripped them all out. I'm not going to explain why in this video. I've got videos talking about a variety I had and all that sort of stuff. I had ever-bearing raspberries here. never really worked for me, so I gave up on planting ever-bearing raspberries. So I got some summer-bearing raspberries to plant here. And I like having them in a garden like this because I can get at them from either side. From here, I can only really get at them from this side, right? I have to go around outside the fence, and it's difficult to walk. It's treacherous back there, sort of thing. Not to mention the risk of ticks and stuff like that. So, and I thought I'd plant potatoes here because I got to dig them all up, you know, in August, September. So there's still the odd, I mean, it's really hard to eradicate raspberries from an area. So there's still the odd raspberry poking itself up because I ripped out as many of the roots as I could get, but there's still some roots in there, and raspberries can be tenacious. So I thought with the potatoes, the foliage would smother everything out. And because I had to dig them all up, any raspberries that were still around, I'd yank those out at that time. So it just seemed like the easiest way to deal with it. I got at the very end there, I got the sunchokes growing, coming up. Here I got a bed where I've got peas down the middle. I'm going to put potatoes on one side. These are just volunteers. I got a handful of potatoes left to plant. They'll go on this side since the volunteers are already here. And I'll put something else on the other side. I haven't decided what, but I got to decide soon because it's June. And yes, that's a level. And yes, I did level this trellis when I hung it up. Because, I mean, come on. You gotta, this thing's got to be a little bit level with it. What is this? This is an anarchy, is it? This is a strawberry garden that I just planted. Many of these strawberries that I planted, they didn't look very good when I got them from the store. I did not get these from my sponsor, Vessi Seeds. I got them from a local establishment. They didn't look, they looked like they'd been drowned. Anyway, I'm not giving up on them. I'm going to give this bed another week or so. And then if I don't see any signs of life from these strawberries, I'll plant something else here for this year. But I want this to be a strawberry bed. So next year, it was kind of a last minute decision to make this a strawberry bed. Let's put it that way. Should have been planting my strawberries here in May, really. So, oh well, you know, whatever. Roll with the punches. If I can't get these strawberries, if they don't all take, then I'll just plant something else here. But you never know with these things when, you know, you plant. There could be some buds down there that just need a few more, you know, there could be some buds down there that just need a little bit more time to wake up. Sometimes they need some time to just recover from shock and come in. So yeah, I'm not going to give up on these yet. When you're planting bare-rooted plants, always give them a little extra time. Sometimes they just take off right away. Sometimes they need a little time. Don't be hasty. Over here I've got zucchini. You know, further evidence of reasons why it's important to plant things in threes, right? You can see around this rock I had 3 come up. This one came up much earlier than the other 2, right? This is probably the one going to be the, you know, I'll basically eliminate these 2 and let this one grow after a few weeks. Always good to plant in groups of 3, right? Over here I planted 3, only 2 came up. Over here I planted 3, only 1 came up, right? So you just never know, right? Over here I planted 3, only 1 came up, right? So you just never know what you're getting yourself into. So it's always good to plant, I should do a video on that, always plant 3 squash per mound. And you know, you just pick the biggest, healthiest one, and you know, either move the other ones or just kill them, right? But that's the trick. Lots of garlic coming in here. I chose prime spots for my garlic this year instead of messing around, so I could get, you know, the biggest, by prime I mean the best sun. And I'm seeing a lot of my garlic, the stalk is 1 inch at the base. That's what you want to see. You know you got big garlic. If your stalk is 1 inch at the base, you got like at least a 3-inch garlic in there for this variety anyway, the music variety. This was a strawberry garden last year. I decided to make it a tomato garden this year. Strawberries just did not come in well. Nothing was looking good. So I just said the heck with it. I got 1 pepper there just because I needed a place to put that pepper. These aren't transplants, Esther. I just bought these from a garden center. I bought a bunch of tomato. I got a bunch of tomato seeds to start this year, and I can't explain why, but I just didn't get around to you know, getting them going. So you know, if it's June and you you haven't planted strawberry, if it's June and you haven't even stuck a tomato seed in the ground, buy the transplants. This is just a tulip garden here. There's a nice iris growing here as well. I always use this, you know, I have them growing here because these plants tend to get eaten by deer elsewhere, but I also use this as a place to jam extra plants. So I had an extra pepper transplant, so I just stuck it in here. It's always excellent soil here because it's always mulched with something good. Right here in the garden, I sowed parsnips. They never grew, so I replanted them just a week ago. So, you know, hopefully they'll come up now. This is my Swiss chard. I had them all growing underneath a little sort of tiny microclimate there, like a little box with one side covered in you know, plastic, and I just plucked them out and redistributed them over this area. I think they're still planted a bit close to one another, but you know, that's just the way it is. Maybe I'll move some of these, you know, a lot of plants, these plants that come out, you know, open up like a flower. Really, I think like 16 inches is the spacing you want between plants. Although you don't want your leaves touching each other, but anyway, we'll see how that goes. These need a mulch now. These need to be mulched. I just got a bunch of mulch, so I'll be doing that over the next few days. More strawberries here. These are the strawberries I got from Vessi Seeds. They all came in and began growing except one plant. One plant failed. That's not bad. So yeah, little strawberry garden here. I think next year I'll extend that to go all the way to, probably all the way to this post here. For those that are curious, the plants that I'd sequestered here to go to seed, this is what kale looks like when it goes to seed. Makes these little like bean things like that, little pods. That's carrot right there, and this is parsnip flower, and down here I've got salsify going to flower. These ones are a bit small, but anyway, the flowers will still give me seeds. I've got blueberries growing here. You can see the fruits. The fruits are beginning to form, right? This one even more so, right? It really beginning to swell up. More blueberries here with fruit beginning to form. A little bit of blank space here. I just jammed a tomato in there just to fill up the space. This, you know, eventually this area will look like that. In the back here I've got my new pear tree. That one's doing really nice. That just looked like a stick with some dry roots hanging off of it when I got it from Vessi's. Look at it now, right? Coming in really good. A different variety of pear over here, because you have to have two different kinds for proper pollination. But this one's coming in great too. I'm amazed, because these just looked they looked like nothing when I got them, but man, they're coming in nice and healthy and strong. Right here I got broccoli and cauliflower, and a lot of these got taken out by slugs. I lacked diligence in looking after them. I was a bit lazy. I might have to plant some more, but these get quite large, so I always think I need more than I actually do. One of these plants takes up a space about 2 feet by 2 feet, right? So here's a volunteer potato. I have to get rid of him. I don't want potatoes here. But yeah, these will eventually fill the whole box. This box is about 6 feet by 5 feet in dimension. Here's my little dwarf cherry tree, and I actually see, looks like I've got one little cherry. It's the only cherry tree I have, so you know, as they say that you're not going to get the best pollination. They will self-pollinate, but they pollinate better if you've got more than one. But anyway, that's the first year I've gotten any flowers on this thing, so that's promising. There's a different variety of blueberry here. You can see the berries aren't as far along as the other blueberry plant. Got onions here. These were just onion sets that I poked into the ground. This is a parsnip bed. The parsnips are just starting to come in. You know, you can see one's right here, really small, right? And again, I had to replant all the parsnips. I planted them very early in the season, but I put plastic over them, you know, like plastic squares over them to heat it up, and I think I made it too hot. We just had a really weird April here this year, and so I think it got hotter than they normally would under the plastic. Some seeds can only take so much heat when they're germinating. There is an amount of heat that's too much. The lingonberries that I got from Whiffle Tree Farms, they're doing great. Really completely low maintenance garden here. At some point, one of these years, maybe this fall, I don't know, they're going to give me some fruit, but you know, berry bushes take a while. Some types of berry bushes take a while before they really start to put out fruit. These blackberries that I moved last year, they were over there somewhere. I moved them, so they didn't do anything last year. But look, nice flowers coming in now, eh? Look at that. Right, so I can't wait to, I love blackberry jam. So can't wait to get into that. Here's the sunchokes that I got from chokedup.com. They didn't all come up, well, they've all basically come up, but they took their time. But they don't look like the other sunchokes I have. I'm curious to see how well they do and what kind of yield they give up. But anyway, they're growing. Over here I got some tomato transplants I stuck in the ground. I just put this plastic here to see if it made any difference, making a little sort of, you know, improvised microclimate. I don't know if it's making and having any effect at all. I have some direct seeded tomatoes down here. You can see them really tiny, and they're getting mercilessly attacked by flea beetles. I might just give up on these and get some more transplants for this garden, really. It's just I just did not exercise enough initiative in direct seeding my tomatoes this year. Didn't do it right. Just basically lazy this year. This is all beets and weeds. This garden desperately needs to be weeded. And it looks overwhelming. I might make a video on weeding this if I can get all my camera gear together, but this garden, so you can see that there's beets in here, right? But there's a lot of weeds. So this over here, this asparagus bed looked just as weedy yesterday morning, and I'd say I spent about 15 minutes just ripping out the weeds and throwing in a mulch. I was really lucky. A real score of a find. I found 2 bales of old rotten hay in a ditch the other day, so what a score. So I was almost giddy. So anyway, so this was just as weedy as that beet bed yesterday, and now it looks well, it looks great, right? These were asparagus started from seed, right? Really starting to get strong. Next year I think I'm going to have a great harvest from these. Back over here I got a kale garden. There's some of this Japanese what's it called, silky turnip or something like that. I can never remember what these things are called. Anyway, these were mercilessly attacked by flea beetles when they first started evolving, but you can see they're starting to produce some, you know, these are really good tasting. I mean, it seems strange to hear someone raving about turnips, but these are like a different category of turnip. Whole nother level of turnip. Very delicious. And the greens are good too. You can eat the greens. So, but they grow very quickly. So I thought, just like the spinach, I plant them down the middle, put the kale on the sides, and once the kale gets really big and mature, they'll be coming into the middle, crowding out these, and these will be done anyway. I'll have harvested and eaten them all by then. Over here we got the Egyptian walking onions, doing great. Starting to put on these bulbils, right? This is how they make their babies. Each one of these makes a little tiny, looks like an onion set. You can just plant that in the ground. Over here we got the squash. I can't remember what variety. This is either butternut or sweet mama. But anyway, they're coming in great. More garlic over here. Not as good soil, so they're not as big and thick as the other ones. It's cabbage, all coming in great. Needs a mulch badly. We'll do that soon. Potatoes over here, they're just starting to poke through. And another squash over here. Again, it's either butternut or sweet mama. I can't remember which one I put here. But these squash are all doing great, have come in great. I always notice the garden centers selling these as transplants. Don't do it. Buy the seeds and stick the seeds in the ground. You'll be so much more pleased. You know, you buy a squash plant as a transplant, you stick it in the ground, and you watch it die for 2 weeks, unless you're really lucky. It's just so much easier to stick a seed in the ground and wait. It'll come out of the ground in a week if you've got, you know, if you're planted it at the right time of year. My Haskap plants that I got from Whiffletree Farm, just planted these last year. But I mean, look, there, pull that off. Berries, right? They're starting to form. They're not ripe yet, but they're getting there. So I mean, this is just like year 2 and I'm already getting berries. And look how healthy they look, right? Right? Berries pretty good. Got my little bit of mustard greens here and green beans here. Looks like I got a volunteer potato growing here. Get rid of that dude. But yeah, the beans are coming in just fine. That's good. These are the mustard seeds I'll leave and let go to seed so I can save the seeds for next year. I'd be remiss if I didn't share with you the terrace garden situation. So this year I put squash on this side. This is just a, you know, I grew pumpkins here last year and they did very poorly. And I'm always saying you should rotate your crops, but you know, 2 years in a row I don't think is that big a deal. You're not going to, you know, cause too much, you know, you're not going to deplete the soil too much in 2 years or cause too many real problems and just doing something twice 2 years in a row. But I was just curious to see if I could grow squash better here in year 2 after it's been heavily mulched for an entire season, right? So this was covered in mulch in like October and left like that all winter long. And I noticed when I was just digging up to put, you know, to plant these in here, there's lots of worms in the soil. There was no worms in the soil before. So I'm inclined to think it's better soil this year. It's a really sunny spot. It's basically a south-facing slope. So I'm optimistic that I'll get some decent results here, but it's early days. Over here, yeah, got peppers and some basil. These are just transplants I bought. And I'm just curious to see how well peppers grow up here with all this sun. Very sunny spot. Probably the sunniest spot I got. Of course, everybody's curious about the garden outside the garden. Right? So that's what this is, the extra garden I built outside my garden this year, just because I couldn't resist doing that. So the potatoes have come in fine. Over here, the pumpkins, I'm going to have to thin these down, but basically all the pumpkin seeds came in fast. I can't remember what these are called, like early, and the description of the seed was early and big, which is what I'm all about when it comes to you know, growing pumpkins. These are just like jack-o'-lantern decorative pumpkins. That's why I didn't give them my prime real estate in the garden. But it's a good sunny spot, reasonably good soil, because this was last year. This was basically one of these potato gardens with a ton of mulch, right? So and before that year it was just this stuff. Right? So I've had these plastic things over these. It might be time to stop using them. It's getting so warm during the day I don't want to cook them. Yeah, I used these to get them germinated, and the first few weeks I had those on just to make it a little extra warm, make them a little extra happy, and they're coming in really strong. So yeah, no complaints with these. And more potatoes over here, all coming through the mulch. Everything going according to plan. So yeah, the rogue the rogue garden outside the garden is a success, at least so far. Anyway, that's where we are, middle of June 2021. Feels like the heat's on. It feels like, you know, it's not summer yet, but it feels like summer. So I always tend to be over optimistic about these things. If we can get frost in late June, it has happened. lots of times in this location. But hopefully this is one of those years where that doesn't happen. Boy, it feels, we're getting into like double-digit temperatures overnight, and in the 20s during the day, which, for anyone that lives somewhere hot, that doesn't sound like much, but for here, this is great, right? It's sunny and it's warm, and I got my t-shirt on. It's just, so it feels like summer, feels like the heat's here, and I think we're gonna have a great growing season. If you enjoy watching my show and want to help support the show, just buy stuff from my sponsors. That's basically the best thing you can do to help, keep them convinced that I'm a good partner for them. Veseys Seeds and Safer's Gardening Product. Want to buy Safer stuff, just go to their, want to buy Veseys stuff, just go to their website, veseys.com. Use my coupon code GAVS21 and buy anything they sell. The coupon code gets you free shipping for anything except oversized items. The details are in the description box of this video. For that matter, you can buy some of Safer's products at Veseys as well. So if you want to get free shipping and you want to order it online, buy your Safer's products from Veseys, and you'll get free shipping. I use, the three things I use, I've noticed, at least last time I checked, they sold them on Veseys online store. So the Slug and Snail Killer, Safer's End-All, and BTK. Right? I use those things when I need them. Slug and Snail Killer, lots of people have been asking me recently about flea beetles. Safer's End-All is the solution I use for flea beetles. I'm thinking I'll do a video on that soon. If you want to help support the show, just buy stuff from them, and that'll keep them interested in me as a partner for them. The money they provide, it's not enough money to, quit my day job. It's not enough money to buy my integrity or anything like that. But it helps pay for camera gear and stuff like that. I'm a pathologically frugal person, and I don't have to hum and haw over what equipment or whatever services, anything I need for this show. If I need it, I get it. It allows me to focus my energy on just producing content, coming up with good ideas for videos, tracking down interesting guests for the podcast interviews and that sort of thing. So for all of you that have been using the coupon code of Veseys Seeds, thank you very much. You're really helping to support the channel and everything I'm doing here. So thank you very much for that. So anyway, that's where we are. Middle of June 2021. I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.